Hello and welcome to Simple Country Place. I have 4 real-life easy meal ideas for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, welcome, and enjoy. And I will say as a disclaimer, there is a lot of pasta in this video. I don't know what happened. I don't think these days were consecutive, but it is real life, so it is what it is, I guess. The first thing I'm making is like a sweet and sour pork dish, and I started by sauteing onion and bell pepper and let that cook down a little bit, and then I added minced garlic, and I did have some like cooked pork that was like leftover from another dish that I had in my freezer, so I cut that up, thawed it, and then cut it up and added that in. I also added in some cauliflower rice. If you've been here before, you know my husband does not like regular rice, but he does like cauliflower rice, and it's a win because it's healthier for you anyway. So added that in. It's frozen at this point, and then I'm going to add in some water and put a lid on that and just let that cauliflower cook for a bit and everything else like cook together for a smidge. Once that rice is cooked a little bit, I added soy sauce and ground ginger. And then of course added the sweet and sour sauce. For sweet and sour pork, you need that. And mix that all together, let everything heat up, the flavors combine, and all that jazz. The liquid to cook off a little bit. And I just served that with a side salad, and then obviously the sweet and sour pork and rice and stuff. I topped with some dried chives, and this was a hit. My husband liked it, nephew liked it. Yeah. On this day, I made barbecued pulled pork sandwiches and mac and cheese, and I know I've made stuff like this on my channel before, but cut up pork loin, and then added barbecue sauce and chipotle chili pepper, that Badia complete, and then I mixed that all together and covered it with a lid. Again, this was some of the leftover pork, so wanted to use that up in a different way, and yeah, covered that with a lid, let the flavors come together and the pork to heat up and all that jazz. And I really wanted mac and cheese, so I was like trying to think of something that goes good with mac and cheese, and I think barbecue stuff always does. So for the mac and cheese, I started with a roux, butter, and flour, and then I'm adding half and half like I always do, mixing that together. For seasonings, I added cayenne pepper, ground mustard, black pepper, and parsley. For the cheese, I just simply added like cheese melt, which is the off-brand of Velveeta, and mixed that together. And then I did add the cooked noodles in. I think I used rotini. Yeah, added those in while they were still like they're drained, the cooked, drained, and still hot. And then mix that all together and let the cheese melt and everything come together. And I just served that with the pulled pork sandwiches. I melted some cheese on top of the sandwiches after I put them on buns, and with some green beans. And this was super fast and easy. And I always love homemade mac and cheese. My husband does too. He used to be like strictly box, and I don't even buy that ever. Ever since we got together and started living together and I started cooking, now he's a fan of the homemade. So on this night, I made spaghetti with homemade marinara sauce, and so I started with that ground Italian sausage and let that cook like half fish way, and then seasoned it with that garlic and herb seasoning, some basil, some oregano, Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper. I added in a diced onion and then let that all finish browning and the onion to cook down a little bit. Once the meat was cooked through, I added some minced garlic and some tomato paste. I honestly don't know how much because I never use like a full can. So when I open a new can of tomato paste, I freeze the rest of it. So I just like chopped off a smidge of the frozen stuff and then let that thaw out in that bowl. And so I added that in. And I will be adding some can of tomato sauce, and then I put some water in the can, swished it around, and added that in as well to get all of the other like tomato sauce stuff out of the can. So then I added some sugar to cut the acidity. And for seasonings, added crushed red pepper, oregano, more Italian seasoning, more basil, and more salt and pepper. And then I just put the lid on this and let that simmer for a while. I don't even know, probably like 20-ish, 25, 30 minutes. The longer you let it simmer, the better it would be. And I had asked my husband, because I mean, sometimes I make homemade marinara, sometimes I'm in a time crunch, so I just use like jarred stuff and add stuff to it. But I asked my husband, like, how did this compare to the jarred stuff? And he actually said he liked it more because he's like, there's a little kick, like the crushed red pepper, there's a little kick of extra seasoning that normally you don't get in like jarred. So, and it definitely wasn't hard to make. And I had cooked up some angel hair pasta, which is my husband's favorite. Served that with angel hair pasta and some green beans and garlic toast. And I mean, it's a classic, an American classic, an Italian classic. On this night, I made stroganoff. So I have some ground beef and onion sauteing that I added that Badia Complete to, and salt and pepper for seasonings. Once that was browned all the way through and I drained most of the grease, I added that cream of mushroom soup and then some half and half to like thin it out. To that I added shredded Parmesan cheese. Obviously it'd be better if you shredded it yourself, but this is real life. And Montreal steak seasoning. So I added some of that and then parsley. And I just covered that and let it cook. And like the sauce to thicken, the cheese to kind of melt. Parmesan doesn't really melt that well in my opinion, but on the side I had made, on a different burner, I had cooked up some egg noodles, and so I will add those in and make sure everything's nice and covered in the sauce. And then I finish it off with like just a smidge more pepper and a smidge more parsley. Mix that around and served that with a side salad. And I didn't get like a picture of both things together because the stroganoff wasn't done when my husband got home, and he said he was starving to death, so he ate his salad first, and then came and got the stroganoff. So, but he enjoyed it. I mean, it's kind of a classic too, so always a good option. Thank you so much for watching. Please come back for future videos.